Hi, I'm Sam Liddell. I'm going to be reading from the prologue of my sapphic romantasy novel, Heart of Stone. It was originally published in 2023. This is a standalone novel in the same world as my Odium trilogy. It follows a different princess in a different kingdom who falls for a Gorgon woman. The prologue I'll be reading from is from Maeve's perspective, the Gorgon. Maeve stepped carefully toward the riverbank, excitement spinning around her. The local fairies had spoken of nothing but their annual festival for 2 moons, and she'd spent the last week dreaming of the beautiful lights dancing in the sky. At only 8, her mother would never allow her to attend. Maeve had asked, but her plea had fallen on resolute ears. "You know we can't go to that, Maeve." "But they're fairies," she had replied, an emphatic stamp accompanying her words. Her mother hadn't even turned from the hearth where she'd stirred rabbit stew over the fire in a small cauldron. "It's at the river. It's too close to the kingdom." "But, no." She'd thrown a hard look over her shoulder. "That's the end of it." Maeve had stomped off in a huff, shoving through their front door and toward the corner of their fen. There, a series of lush ferns grew, the perfect place to pout in peace. Now, her heart thundered in her chest, not only in anticipation for the fairy festival, but in trepidation at having defied her mother. She'd waited for her mother to fall asleep in a chair by the fire. Sweat had trickled down her spine as she'd worked to quietly unlock their door. With a final glance, certain her mother was asleep, Maeve had slipped out. "She never lets me go anywhere," she muttered now to the muddy grass along the river. For a moment she shivered at the sight of the pointed petals of the red flare lilies scattered across the water. Their mahogany leaves seemed to point accusingly. She turned her gaze skyward. Fading sunlight stretched over the land in a dim screen of yellow. Maeve smiled at the first fairies gathering overhead. A snapping branch caught her ear. Without thinking, she turned to find the source of the noise. An old man in Uterni's colors stood on the other side of the bank, 20 yards away. Maeve's breath caught when his gaze met hers. She knew immediately it was too late. His mouth slackened. He clutched his stomach, then his chest, a pain moan escaping his lips. "No," Maeve whispered, ducking. She wanted to go to him, to help him somehow, but his haggard face turned ashen. His body stiffened, and he fell out of sight into the brush. Trembling, Maeve glanced up at the gathering fairy lights. She swiped at tears, then looked again to where the man had stood. "I'm sorry," she whispered, feeling the fey and wildland creatures watching her. Slowly, she retreated as voices sounded from the distant bogs just outside the village. Stumbling over gnome hills and pushing through thick flora, Maeve tearfully returned to her fen. All she had wanted was to see the fairy festival. She hung her head, more tears falling. Her mother had been right. I wish she wasn't. She wished her life wasn't confined to the fen. She wished she hadn't hurt the old man. She wished, more than anything, that she was different. Heart of Stone is available through my publisher, Bold Strokes Books, and anywhere books are sold.